my mother, or have a pen pal.
Yeah.
That way they learn the structure of a letter, but in a more productive way, and they're getting something back out of it. Because we spend all of our lives, we spend all of our childhood practicing, and then when we come out of school, we don't use it anymore. These are things that we don't do anymore. It's a waste of time. Just do it on a reel. If you give them a letter, or give them encourage them to have a pen pal, that way they can do letter writing without having to practice so much, because
so it's
it seems
kind of like
futile.
on-the-job training, actually putting it into action. It's like it's like a training. You know, we send our children on a 2 weeks training scheme work experience. That's the word. Work experience when they wait till they're 15.
Yeah.
And then we send them on work experience when they could be working and getting experience of working right the way through their education. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right the way through their formative years, as it were.
And it's about branching out a bit more from where I've been, because I need inspiration too. As a mother, I need inspiration. So I may take the children. We're doing a project on the solar system, because you know what? There's no point in learning things that we may not necessarily need, but we see the sun every single day. We've got to know a bit about it. We've got to know a bit about how come, my environment is the way that it is, the state of the planet. We're talking about green earth and, learning how to save the planet. Our children need to know about things like this from young, because these are kind of skills that help them to be decent citizens. So we're doing a project on the solar system. And we go to the Science Museum. I might take them down to the Science Museum and just go and have a look in there. And we'll look at the planets. We'll have discussions about them. Why each of them are rotating at the same rate and the same speed. What is the centre of the solar system? And if Allah God is the centre, then the sun can't be the centre. Allah God is the centre, because he's the one that causes the sun to rotate and causes all of the planets to rotate at the same rate and the same speed.
I like the Science Museum. And the fact that you take the children to the Science Museum. I was saying to my wife, when we were in state school, in primary school, we'd go to the Science Museum maybe once for the whole 5 years that we were in school, and we'd remember it for the rest of our life. It'd be like a day trip. But sister takes the children to the Science Museum on a whim, every other week, maybe twice a week. And it becomes like a home to them. It becomes like somewhere where they're not blown away by the fact that we're going to the Science Museum. We're going there to learn, and we go there all the time, and we get intimate with the different areas in there so that we can really study and really get beneath the surface and not be on a little flesh surface level. So all praise is due to Allah. I know that is one of the major differences between state school and home education, sister.
But again, that just goes to show that this environment, the universe, the planet Earth and the universe is our classroom. The classroom doesn't belong in one little school or, in a little environment, or in Brixton or wherever, or Tulse Hill or wherever.
A little classroom,
our school,
physical environment.
Because as a Muslim, I'm in God's classroom. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm always learning. I always have to be studying and learning something. And so in me always learning, there's nothing wrong with me and my children learning something together and me learning from my children. And that's why in us, Allah God has put natural resources within the earth. He's put it all around us, whether in the solar system or wherever, but he's also put natural resources in every country in the earth. And he's put natural resources for each nation. And that's why in the Qur'an he says every nation has been given their own acts of devotion. Some of us may do rak'ahs. Others may hold our hands together and pray like that. Some people may just pray. Some people pray like that. Some people may not pray in a physical way, but may just sit down and pray. Sometimes some people's prayer is their actual work, like the Chinese and the Japanese. They're a very productive nation. That's an act of devotion. They're using what they've been given by God. And even with some countries have diamonds, others have gold, others have coal, some have olives. Every nation's been given their own natural resource, not only for them to learn how to extract it from the earth, but also so that they can trade with other nations.
Learn how to share and trade what you have.
Learn how to share. That's right.
Become a part of the whole jigsaw puzzle.
Exactly.
Of the human family.
Exactly.
Of the planet.
That's right. Because Allah said in the Qur'an that He made us tribes and families so that we can get to know one another. So if I have olives and you have wheat, then if you know how to make bread and you've learned how to appreciate what you've been given by Allah God and learn how to make bread, and I have the olives to make the olive spread, me and you can eat some sandwiches together. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know, in this world, if you got the olives and I've got the wheat, I've got to send a man in to take your olives.
Exactly.
So that I corner the market.
Exactly. Because,
that's how this world works.
Right, because they've come right away from God. Yeah. They've come right away. And one of the acts of devotion is learning how to extract the goodness from the earth, which is gold mining or gold digging.
Okay.
And, you know, we always see gold diggers as something wrong. But what they're trying to do...
Thanks to Kanye West.
That actually came long before him, but he just... you know, but we see that as a bad thing.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Okay, she's just a gold digger, man.
Yeah.
You're just a gold digger.
But
so you said there's a good aspect to gold digging.
Of course there is, because what you're doing, you're trying to get the actual natural precious resource out of the earth.
That was buried there.
That's buried there.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to try and extract the best out of one another. That's our role. That's what education is about. It's about extracting from one another.
Is that a subheading today? Because you never said what the subheading was.
Yeah, it's gold digging.
Gold digging.
I'm sorry, gold digging. Okay. Now, in us learning how to extract the best out of one another, it doesn't mean that we're not gonna pull up some bad things or some of the worst things. When we were watching a program this week. You remember about the Congo?
Yes.
Me and Jay were watching it first and foremost.
That was serious.
It was heavy. We were watching it, and me and Jay were watching it, and then. Did
you know the Congo was it 13 times? Or something like that? The size of Western Europe?
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't remember.
No, it is the size of Western Europe, isn't it?
The size of the whole of Western Europe, yeah.
The Congo, on its own.
On its own, brothers and sisters.
See, that's something I didn't learn in school.
See, they
hid that from us.
Right, and that's useful, but they keep us away from our brothers and sisters in Africa to make us believe that they're the only people who we have and they're all savage. And that's not necessarily the case. But when we were watching that show about the Congo, they were talking about the Congolese people. What they were doing is that they have gold mines. Gold has been found in the Congo. Then they talked about the national people, the people of that nation. They're gold mining. They didn't have no state-of-the-art machines, brothers and sisters. They were using their hands, and they were in the dirt, and it was muddy and it was wet, and they were digging out the gold with their bare hands. And as they were digging out the gold with their bare hands, they were digging and digging, and they'd have to get a huge bowl full, and then go and rinse it under the tap. And then under the tap in some water on a kind of conveyor belt. Yeah. That's right, on a kind of conveyor belt thing. And the amount of dirt that they picked up with their hands and the amount of gold that came up was minuscule, minute. Yeah, it was. And I was like, but hold on. If our best resource is really our children are the best that we have, the best resource that we have, because they're our future.
Come on, sister.
If our children are our future and the education system of this society is failing them, that means that we need to learn how to extract the best out of our children. But while we're digging,
come on,
with our bare hands, because we don't have no machinery.
Come on, sister.
While we're digging, it means that we're getting dirty. It doesn't mean that our children are bad, brothers and sisters. It doesn't mean that. It means that there's little specks of gold within that dirt. That means that we have to learn to be patient. We've got to learn to be patient with them. We've got to invest time in them, and we've got to be really patient with them.
But also, you know, the diggers have the belief that they will find what they are looking for, which enables them to continue even though they're finding minute specks. They know how valuable those minute specks are, and they have the belief and the faith that what is buried there is in there and that they'll be able to extract it. And that is what we need. If we have the belief that what is in our children is so valuable and precious that we will be able to benefit as a family, community, and nation, then we're on our way. But I think a lot of the time we don't even have that belief. The belief is taken away from us, and that belief is one of the prerequisites of being, a Muslim, being one who submits their will to do the will of Allah. And all too many of our brothers and sisters today say, well, I'm not into religion. I have no belief. So without that belief, we're lost before we start.
Yeah. And that's why Allah God is Al-Hadi, the guide. He will guide. That's why we say in our prayer, guide me on the right path. Because I know that I'm not on the right path, brothers and sisters, unless I connect myself to God. I know that anytime I have an issue with any of the children, I always take it to God first. Allah, can you imagine? Did you know? Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what she said? Can you imagine what she did, Allah? So I always take it to God. Why?